Hey guys, Neil here. I decided to start a mobile DJ. How do I set up or purchase my first set of lights tutorial that will go through the basics around what to consider when buying lights. The first thing that you need to do is consider your own bias. What are the kinds of views that you have towards lights? Are you going to buy a one-time purchase and to augment your lighting? Is this all you're going to want? Are you sure about that? Because a lot of people think they're only going to buy once and then buy later. Then finding out that they've got to sell all of the original lighting because it's incompatible with future lighting. Are you going to upgrade in the future? If you're considering upgrading, then you also have to factor in how much time are you in this business for? Are you just going to upgrade for 1 or 2 years? Or are you going to be doing this kind of business for 10 or 15 years? Because chances are, if you're going to go for 10 or 15, you're going to be upgrading a whole lot more over that period of time. How much money do you tend to make in these events? How much money are you willing to put into upgrading? Because that too will determine whether you go for quality fixtures, quantity of fixtures. All things that change what perceptions, what lights you're likely to purchase. Are you interested in very flexible lights? Or are you interested in specific lights? Take for instance a DJ. A DJ will pretty much choose effect lighting with a bit of wash lighting. But the effect lighting isn't that useful in things like theatrical performances, whereas the wash lighting is. There's certain fixtures that are much more useful than others. Do I go for a Parcan LED wash, or do I go for a LED bar wash, which also acts as an effect? These are really key questions around the flexibility versus specific sides of lighting. Now, the most crucial thing that most DJs make mistakes on, or many DJs make mistakes on, is the concept of fill or wash lighting versus effect lighting. What's the difference? Well, fill lighting is what you see going on here. My color in my face is changing because I've got a light in front of me that is casting a specific color and changing every periodic amount of time to create light in the environment. Without that, you would not be able to see me. The same holds true with venues. If you're at a dance and you have no fill lighting, then how can you expect people to actually see where they're going or talk to other people? You can't. Effect lighting is cool because so many DJs get into it without considering the fill lighting. It definitely is more interesting usually, but it's not the most effective way of actually creating light in the venue. It's not going to do that, and you're going to have to consider fill. When you consider fill lighting, you have to consider what kind of thing are you interested in. Because most people go with washes like this, which cast certain colors on everybody. But there's other options like UV. If you load the venue with black light, then you're going to be able to bring out all the white and make that shine, which actually can create ambient lighting. But it takes a lot of work because you've got to make everything reflective and you've got to make everything neon in order to do it. Another thing to consider is what style of lighting you like best. Are you into the old school effect where you have the mirror ball and the double derbies going back and forth, the mace casting like shoots beams of light out all over the room? Do you like high-tech lighting where you get the scanners which are perfectly synchronized to one another, doing patterns that are in perfect synchrony together? Or do you like the latest LED technology effects where You get these fascinating beams of LED that barely use any power, but create a very unique look to them that definitely is LED. Do you like lasers? These are all different styles of lighting that need to be considered, because if you don't consider them, they won't work well together. What about limitations? Do you have a certain requirements like transportation, where you've got to fit all of this lighting into a car? Because realistically, you're not going to fit a lot in a single car. Do you have requirements around setup time? Do you need, a huge amount of setup time to put your other things together? Which may mean that you might not want these complex fixtures that require a lot of setup to begin with. Do you have storage space? Storage space is key because certain lights are much bigger than others. Take, for instance, par cans, which is the most basic unit of creating color. Most people think of lighting, they will think of par cans. Par cans take a lot of space and they're not that efficient, but they're cheap. So DJs quite often will go the cheaper route, but have much more storage requirements for those lights. What about quality versus quantity? Are you concerned about the quality of the fixture? Or are you just looking to create as many fixtures as you can in the hopes to impress people? Quality fixtures cost a lot more money, but they'll do a lot more things and last a lot longer than the quantity. This is totally different depending on the DJ. What about power consumption? Lights can take a lot of power. They can easily surpass that amount of requirements as the audio. Now, there's LED technology out there now that use a fraction of the power requirements of incandescent traditional lights, but they cost more. So how important is that power consumption to you? The most important thing that I could probably tell you in an intro tutorial video is to consider where your lighting will go. Dream about where you think you would want your lighting to go in the future, maybe 10 years from now. Because by letting your mind go there, you can actually distinguish what lights will fit with that image. If you want high-tech lighting with all DMX control and all the lights controlled by one another, then you're probably not going to want to spend a lot of money on cheap fixtures. That's key, because the single most common mistake is by buying cheap lights because they think that you're never going to use more, and then having to sell off those to buy more quality lights. You'll also want to consider whether or not you're going to be using fog or haze with the lights that you've purchased. You see, lights do look better with fog, there's no doubt about that. But some lights look a lot better with fogs, whilst other lights look only a little bit better with fog. Yet some venues will not allow the use of fog or haze because it's a fear of the smoke alarm being set off and residue issues. You need to start thinking about whether or not you want lights that are very pattern focused, wall patterns. For instance, certain LEDs create some really neat effects on the wall, while other lights rely almost completely on beam effects, the mid-air effects that require the use of fog and haze to see. Don't forget about online DJ forums. Online DJ forums is a great way to ask your specific questions that you might have concerning specifics of what you're looking for. They're a great place to read and learn about every kind of lighting. In fact, about 80% I would say about the knowledge that I've gained today has come from the various online forums like DJ Forums, Lighting Section, and Pro DJ websites. In future videos, I'm going to get into more specific questions such as, do I go T-bar or truss? Do I go scanners or other effects? What should I consider when I'm purchasing a DMX controller? Things like that will be covered in upcoming videos. But for now, practice and enjoy.